Today I'm doing a video I've been wanting to do for a very long time. Almost 2 years ago I made a ranking of the Dark Souls bosses, and since the sequel to Bloodborne was just announced, I should probably get to making a Bloodborne boss ranking. Yeah, what's that? It's not a sequel. It's a multiplayer game with the style of Bloodborne. Gotcha, okay, yeah, alright. Today I'm ranking the bosses in Bloodborne from worst to best, in terms of quality, not difficulty. You might be too shocked to speak when I tell you the hardest boss in the game is Orphan of Kos.
Alright, so my pick for the hardest boss in the game has to go to Orphan of Kos.
So I'll be ranking them off of how fun and fair it is to fight them, if they're well developed in design, moveset and lore, how good the music is, and finally, of course, how attractive they are. I'll be playing clips from my second playthrough of Bloodborne. You can watch that or the blind playthrough on the channel, link is in the description. But with that, smash that subscribe button and let's get into it. Boo, boo, everybody, boo, boo at Laurence, boo, point and laugh. What happened here, FromSoft? Laurence is such an important character to the overall lore, and then when we meet him, he's a reskin.
Well, that's actually because...
It's a reskin. If Amelia gets to look like this, a guy such as Laurence should be looking like an absolute unit. But no, he even keeps the Cleric Beast moveset for the most part. He's a big boy, and I find the locking on mechanic to be incredibly wonky because of this. Sometimes it'll lock onto his head, other times his chest, and that can cause some really frustrating moments with the camera angle. So I just avoid locking on, which wasn't very fun either, but I'd rather that than looking up at his chest while having to dodge his hands down at his feet. It's just silly. He also has a disgusting amount of health. I've never been a fan of the tank bosses, as they just start getting tedious after a while. Not even challenging most of the time, just boring. And with a punch that can take away over half my health, the balancing is way off in my honest opinion. And he has a third phase, where he does his own thing. It's unique, credit for that, but kind of tedious once again. Sometimes even unfair. You can get sent to some devious locations in the arena because of his crawling attack that he just spams again and again for some reason. And because of all the lava, you're done. Cry more, apparently. If you don't know, you have to dodge left for basically every attack. If not, you're gonna die quickly, which I'm sure you're fine with. Not like it took over 3 minutes of pure gaming to get to that phase. You can easily do that again, right? Listen, I like what they were going for in this final phase. At some points, it does look very cool, but it just doesn't really work that well as a fight. It's a bad boss, I'm sorry, tedious, bland, annoying, and sometimes unfair. The music is incredible though, my favorite soundtrack in all of Soulsborne, no debate. Just a shame we don't get to hear it, because Laurence won't stop screaming over it. People might say this boss is good because of its lore and music, and while I agree those aspects are great, it actually becomes a negative for me when the boss pisses on them by just being this goofy reskin that screams over the music. I'm not angry, just disappointed. That's all I gotta say. Song's on Spotify though, so I'll listen to it there. Honestly, no hate to the Witches of Hemwick, but after thinking it through a little, yeah, they fucking suck. They're not unfair or downright bad or anything, they're just kinda... yeah, they can't really do much while you hunt them down. The only threat you'll face are the Shadow Boys. So if you're genuinely someone who goes out of their way to get rid of your insight to make them not spawn and make this fight almost impossible to lose, come here. Listen, I'm not here to tell you how to play the game, alright? But next time you look at yourself in the mirror, keep that in mind. But with or without the Shadow Demons, this fight is very easy. I did not die to them in my first playthrough. Did not happen. It's not badly designed, I wouldn't say, nor do I have a bad time fighting them, but there clearly wasn't that much effort put into this boss, which is fine, I guess. It is an optional boss, but it does still mean it gets a very low ranking. I love Micolash. He's a fun guy, his dialogue is great, and the music is fun. And that's all I got. His fight revolves around chasing him around until he enters a specific room. This can take 15 seconds to pull off, or an hour. It's incredibly frustrating not having a sense of direction in this fight. I'm still unsure on how to trap him in the room the quickest way possible, because the game doesn't really help explaining it, which in this case is a big issue. As for fighting, he has 2 moves in the first phase. He can either punch or tentacles. The punch is very funny to me, because it deals a pretty decent amount of damage. Now compare that to the other things you can take damage from in this game, and you will realize the sheer strength Micolash possesses. I can get shot in the head and brush it off, but a punch, yeah, too far buddy, you almost killed me. Then in the second phase, Brother pulls out an impossible to dodge attack, unless you watch like a Here's How to Beat Micolash host of the Nightmare tutorial video. This attack also one-shots most of the time, so that's great. Good riddance. Go chase him around for another hour. This is so fun. He is actually very fun to fight the first 2 times. Afterwards, yeah, he just becomes a big headache. When I first saw the Celestial Emissary, I don't remember what I thought, but I imagine it might have been a slight bit of disappointment. We've seen these guys before, now there's many, and one is big. It's very easy and quite boring, but seeing small guy turn big guy is a fun surprise on the first playthrough. But we needed more. A lot more. Same with the Celestial Emissary. The One Reborn is one of the bosses here I have the least to say about. I like what they were going for here, having to kill some healers before the boss itself, but it does kind of ruin the feel of the boss, as you're running around killing enemies like normal, while the music is blaring in your ears. The tone is just all over the place, and once you've defeated the enemies, killing the boss is a piece of cake. Sometimes things can catch you off guard, but no, it's very easy. But I love the design though, and aside from the tonal inconsistencies, I don't find the fight to be flawed gameplay wise. I have fun times fighting him, but it needed a bit more time in the oven, that's all I'm saying. Also, my ears are still waiting for an apology. I really like most of the first two phases of the Blood-Starved Beast. However, my problem lies in its excessive use of the, hand out, then jump 5 miles forward attack. When you just want to fight this guy, and he just keeps jumping away, I get very pissed off. My speedrunning is put off here, man, and I don't appreciate it. Other than that, he's a fun, challenging fight. Until the third phase. What the fuck? Now, if you get close to him, you take poison damage. Okay, fun! No, this sucks. I don't know what to tell you. I gotta get close to him to hit him, and he poisons me. Disgusting. I honestly find that to be a little weird, because on one hand, I don't mind it. Forcing the player to hurry up and kill the boss, while also having to avoid any attacks that leave them vulnerable to the poison's wrath, is kinda cool. But you know what? It's actually not that bad. Alright, the Blood-Starved Beast isn't actually that bad. I'll move him up a bit, so we'll come back to him. Listen, Ebrietas looks amazing. A true cosmic horror with great atmosphere and boss arena, but her fight is so fucking messy. I want to fight her at the front, but her massive size leads to unfortunate situations. Out of nowhere, her head slams down on me, or her hand comes swooping in, or she does a charge attack that honestly, I have no idea on how to dodge. So I stay at the back, slapping her tail, and hoping for the best from there. But then you get stuck, and out of nowhere, lasers from the sky. I can't get away, I'm dead. Some may call it a skill issue, and on some parts, I'm inclined to agree. But it doesn't change the fact that I find the fight to be incredibly messy. That just feels odd. There's no dance, there's no coordination, there's no fun. Some people find the living failures to be incredibly easy. I am not in that boat. I have had multiple instances where they really bent me over and spanked me. Obviously not the hardest, but I feel like they aren't as bad/easy as some make them out to be. That's not to say they're good either. They are a good definition of a gank boss, but they don't help the reputation of said brand. Their moveset is lacking in variety. I like the meteor attack though, but that's mostly because I have a soft spot for boss fights where you have to use the environment to your advantage. But running around, hitting one at a time, isn't what I would call peak boss design, hence the low ranking. Rom the Vacuous Spider is not a spider. I can't tell you what it is, but it ain't a spider. The minions are, and luckily for us, they are also the main part of the fight. Killing the spiders is quite fun, so long as you don't get hit, because they're a big buzzkill, because they can insta-kill, which is a bit overkill, but that's not all. Rom's gonna be sending meteors towards you, constantly. Oh, what's that? You don't have stamina and you can't run away?
I missed the part where that's my problem.
The boss arena is, gorgeous, but it's just a very messy fight, which I would dare say lacks a bit of creativity. Rom doesn't really have much variety, and dropping a fistful of spiders around him doesn't really make for a really vivid experience. But that's just my opinion. Make sure to leave yours in the comments, by the way. With Mergo, we're getting closer to the sort of dance that the best Soulsborne bosses feel like. Dodging Mergo's blades is great fun and you feel really cool, but I have to dock some points for the shadow dark face thingy. Now there are two of her, and when one attacks, the other does as well, and it's not choreographed at all, so getting hit feels like an issue of luck over anything else. You just have to run around hoping for the best, and I wouldn't really call that a dance like the rest of the boss for the most part is. I also have to dock some points for the music, unfortunately, because it just doesn't fit the fight. It sounds great, it's a great theme, I just feel like it should have been put as an area theme not a boss theme. I get that it fits her lore, but it really diminishes the intensity the fight can sometimes have, especially when you're running for your life. Darkbeast Paarl got done dirty, man. Either you find him early and get violated, or you find him late and you violate him. Either way, it doesn't make for a very fair fight. The fight isn't even that bad, but his placement in the game is so ass, so most people don't even get the full experience. He does look amazing still, but because of his massive size and quick movement, getting a hit in can be a bit annoying. Nothing too crazy though, fine boss, not revolutionary, but his placement in the game really drags him down, unfortunately. And he's back, baby. Yeah, he is not getting that much higher. I'm still on the fence about the poison effect, but I see the vision. His jump 5 miles thing is still annoying, and he is, unfortunately, quite forgettable to me. His lore is pretty tame and is also one you don't have to fight. He's not as bad as I had him ranked before, but nothing more than that either. Vicar Amelia's cutscene is so fucking great. It might just be my favorite, along with 10 others. This is probably my most controversial pick, and I totally get why some people wouldn't agree with such a low placement, but I have some issues. My main being, her fight is boring, but not in the sense that it's easy. She can be very frustrating sometimes, but more so because the movement and her design just doesn't do it for me. I know some people live and die by her design, but I don't see it. To me, the Cleric Beast actually offers a much better definition of these beastly monsters we meet throughout the game, but I think that's very subjective. The moveset, however, is boring to me. It's not that much of a dance. Like with Ebrietas, things just feel a bit uncomfortable, and not in a very good way. And like with Laurence, the locking on mechanic is weird here. I have a really tough time knowing what's happening most of the time. Her healing mechanic sucks. It would be fine if she did it once, but doing it every time she's low on health makes for a really stressful fight that takes away any opportunity of strategizing. I know you can use an item, but A, most people don't know that on their first playthrough, and B, I am not a big fan of needing to use an item to experience a boss in its full glory. That should be there for any player with any build and any items. I'm fine with getting rinsed for this one. She's still okay, but there are seriously some things that drag her down. Cleric Beast is, in my opinion, an excellent introduction to the Bloodborne universe. He gives a glimpse into the mechanics of the game, as well as the lore and design of the upcoming bosses like Vicar Amelia and Laurence. His fight works as it should and has great iconic music with a cool entrance. Is he more than that though? No. Many other bosses offer even more than the Cleric Beast, so I can't really put it that much higher. Also, some might say, well actually, Father Gascoigne is the tutorial fight. He's not. That's only for the people that didn't take their time with the preceding area. And now Gascoigne is gonna eat your ass. The design and lore of the Moon Presence is peak. True eldritch horror. Lot to live up to with its fight. Does it? No. It was just a slight bit underwhelming, especially after Gehrman, who most would agree was an amazing final boss. I love the contrast between the beautiful field of white flowers mixed with the beastly form of this boss. It definitely serves well as a spectacle fight, and I still really like it. Gehrman gave the challenge and Moon Presence still delivers, but it's mostly there for the lore. I do still like its moveset, especially the take all health, now you get it back attack. It's mostly harmless and a fun test on your ability to utilize the rally mechanic. It's a fun final boss, still a bit underwhelming for its reputation, but very good nonetheless. I am very happy they allowed the player to fight an Amygdala, whatever. Their presence around the game constantly reminds the player of what kind of world Bloodborne is, and getting to take one down is, dare I say, epic. His size was exactly what one could desire, and his moveset is how it should be. And the way he rips off his arms and uses them as utensils is awesome. Plus the different ways you can go about fighting him. I am not big on the laser attack he can pull very often, and same with Ebrietas. Getting pushed into a wall is very frustrating. I also wished his hands could fuck off when I'm trying to run to his head, but other than that, he's very good. The Shadows of Yharnam are great. Most people hate gank bosses, and I for the most part agree, but there are some where I actually see the idea. It's really fun to strategize on who to take out first, and there's no right or wrong answer. They complement each other very well, and their second phase genuinely disturbed me the first time I played it. I love the way they almost get possessed and how stressful it was to dodge the massive snakes coming out of the ground. It's also a fight where you can use the environment to your advantage, and I've already said that I'm a big sucker for that. I do wish there was some tiny changes in design so they didn't look identical, but other than that, I'm happy with this boss. I wasn't as big on Gehrman as many others in the beginning, but he's grown on me. I do see why he's such an icon now. In my revisited playthrough, I had serious issue with a certain scythe attack, where he comes swooping in and makes an attack I just couldn't dodge. But due to the fact I don't see any others complaining about it, I'm gonna have to assume I am just bad and I should stop crying. Fair enough. It's a true duel between two experienced hunters, and the lore is very good. It makes sense why he's fighting you, it makes sense why you're fighting him, both out of self-sacrifice and mercy for the other. And that's awesome. He works well, I like the noises he makes, and fighting him is just really fun. Martyr Logarius works for a lot of the same reasons as Gehrman. To me, it's just a tad bit better. I have a blast fighting Logarius. His design is great, and the arena looks awesome. His variation in throwing bombs, swords, swinging his scythe, and much more forces the player to stay on their toes and respond to everything in full. And this just leads to such a fun experience, and I always look forward to Logarius. Plus, the sound design in this cutscene is just beautiful. Brings a tear to my eye. Once again, Father Gascoigne is good for most of the same reasons as Gehrman and Logarius. It's a one-on-one, mano-a-mano duel that just works. This time though, while the other two do it as well, Gascoigne really excels at the build-up. He starts off relatively normal, then he becomes faster, almost inhuman, with amazing dialogue to complement it all, until finally he lets go and transforms. While I don't see him as a tutorial boss, he still works well to showcase the lore of the game, with people, turning into beasts and all that. His lore is simple, but effective as well, with the meeting of his daughter and how the item she gives us has an effect on Gascoigne in the fight, adding so many more layers to the otherwise simple man turns into a beast story. He's also just really fun in all three phases, and the music slaps so hard. It's just really well executed. Lady Maria is the most fun fight in the game. I love every part of her design, lore, setting, mechanics, and fight. I just wish she wasn't so easy. And that's all. Otherwise, she would have been my favorite. It's over so quickly for me, but while she's there, she's amazing. The way she uses blood and her cool ass swords to attack is just so goddamn cool. And this is what I mean by dance in a good FromSoft battle. She reminds me a lot of Slave Knight Gale, one of my top 3 favorite Soulsborne bosses, and everything just works, and it's probably why you can beat her relatively quick. But she is just simply amazing, even as a doll. Orphan of Kos, what many would deem to be the hardest boss in the game. Did I mention how I beat him first try on my first playthrough? Did I? I don't know how I did it, because this guy is very tough. He's also really good. Fresh out the womb and he starts throwing hands and umbilical cords. I respect it. His attacks, while difficult, are all something you can dodge, and once you get everything down, it's one of the best duels you can get in the entire game. It's the perfect challenge to end off the DLC with. There's really not a lot to say about these top 5 picks, because they all do incredibly well on every front, so it just comes down to personal preference at this point. But the best of the best is, of course, Ludwig. He is a boss I cannot fault in the slightest. He just works. There comes a point in every difficult boss where I get a little frustrated, and I start blaming the game, only to realize I'm actually the issue, and I should stop crying. With Ludwig, however, even though he kicked my ass, for the first and only time did I love every second, even when I wouldn't stop dying. His attacks just work, they're telegraphed well, and the variation is second to none. He can do so many things, but each one you learn, you adapt, and you get better. His first phase is the best, but the second also delivers big time. The cutscenes are great, he's my favorite of all the beast designs in the game, his dialogue, his music, his lore. I can't stop glazing Ludwig. We all know he's the best, and if you don't think so, you're just... Actually, I want to hear it, because everything is subjective, so I really want to know. And with that was my ranking. Let me know what you think. Some might write, never let bro rank again, which can be fair if you would please tell me why. I'm open to whatever you guys think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? But whatever the case, I really hope you enjoyed. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, check out the playthroughs, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Bye-bye.